Today I want to speak about the Olam Haba and the Olam Hazeh. And I want to speak about Job, especially chapter 14, where this man with his boils from the crown of his head to the sole of his feet is dealing with his comforting friends who aren't much comfort. And he's thinking now about a tree and how it renovates. How there's a verb to change, to show newness, to show renewal. This verb is het lamed final fe. It's also a noun, halifah, renovation. And he's thinking if a tree gets cut down, it can sprout again. So in this world, in the Olam Hazeh, it can have renovation. But when a man is cut down, he cannot renovate in this world. So someone might read that and say, yeah, he doesn't believe in an afterlife. No, he's not talking about the Olam Haba. When we get to chapter 19, we see his feelings about that. But here it's very important because in verse 14 he says, if a gever die. Now the word gever in Hebrew means man. Gimel, base, resh. In Aramaic it means rooster. Now you might think, that gives you a warrant on Yom Kippur to do the Shlogan Kippuris. This gever in Aramaic is my renovation, my change. For me, Hebrew gever, a man. No, friend. Listen, if I went into a bodega and I had a $1,000 bill and I bought a candy bar and you gave me 50 cents change, you're really shortchanging me. And can you think of a bigger letdown, a bigger shortchanging kind of letdown than a chicken? I mean, it's actually laughable. The devil is laughing. He's laughing. A man may be wise in his own eyes and be a fool. Listen, I want to read to you from the Orthodox Jewish Bible, chapter 14 of Job, verse 14. If a gever die, shall he live again? All the days of my tzavah, my hard army service, will I wait? He's using the same word there. It says the islands will wait for the Moshiach's Torah. I think it's Isaiah 42:6 or 42:4. I can't remember. Till my halifah, my changing, my renovation, my renewal, until my halifah come. He's looking for his renovation, his renewal, his change. And this is such a wonderful idea. And you got to see that the verb there and the noun, both of them are related in chapter 14, verse 7 and chapter 14, verse 14, where we see that there's hope for a tree and there's also hope for a man. I'm talking about a tikva, a hope. And I really want to just take an extra minute with this before I leave this chapter, because I want you to know that it says, if man dieth, he lieth there stretched out. Man giveth up the ghost, and where is he? He's asking, he's asking about the afterlife. Are you thinking about the afterlife? Do you want to know what the infallible and inerrant Bible says? Are you interested in what God has to say about the matter? Because when you look at this, it says, "Oh, that thou wouldest hide me in Sheol, in the grave, that thou wouldest conceal me till thy anger change, that thou wouldest appoint me a time, and then remember me. If man dieth, shall he live again? All the days of my warfare, all the days of my hard army service, would I wait until my change, my renovation, my halifah should come. Thou wouldest call, and I would answer. Thou wouldest have a desire for the work of thy hands. For now thou numberest my steps, and doth not restrain thyself over my sins." So he's thinking about the afterlife. And he's thinking about the Olam Haba. And now I'm going to flip over in the Orthodox Jewish Bible to chapter 19. And I'm going to look at verse 25, where it says, Ani yadati go'ali hai. I know that my Redeemer liveth. You see, Moshiach had to walk out of that tomb on the third day, or the Bible wouldn't really be true. The Brit Hadashah wouldn't really fulfill the Tanakh if that hadn't happened. It says, and that he should stand up at Aharon, at the last, upon Afar, upon the dust, upon the earth. And though after my skin has been destroyed, yet from my basar, from my flesh. There you have that word basar. It's found in Psalm 16, I think it's verse 9, that he's not going to see corruption. The Moshiach is not going to see corruption. God won't allow his chassid to see corruption. And then in Hosea it says, on the third day he will raise us up. So when he gets raised up, we're raised up because he's raised for our justification. Because he's my righteous servant that justifies many. And how do we know that God has accepted his offering, the Yasham guilt offering that he makes with his nefesh, according to Isaiah 53 verse 10 and 9, 10, 11. How do we know God accepts this offering, this sacrifice? Well, he raises him up, and he raises us up with him on the third day because he was raised for our tzedakah, our justification. Abraham believed God, and God credited his faith to him as tzedakah. He made him a tzaddik by faith. And here it says, and though after my skin has been destroyed, yet from my basar I will see Hashem, I will see God. And this is Joel's statement of faith. I'm sorry, this is Job's statement of faith. It's also Joel's statement of faith. It's the statement of faith of the Tanakh, the doctrine of the Tehiyas Hamasim, the resurrection. And I want to say to you very clearly here that in the book of Ruth, you have this idea of the Timurah, that there is an exchange. Now, if I go into a bodega and I barter, and I give you money and you give me goods, I've made an exchange. Well, look, there was a kinsman nearer than Boaz, and he had the right to the property. But because he said it would complicate his own inheritance, he couldn't purchase the bride, which is what the man from Judah, the Moshiach ben David, hallelujah, he's going to purchase his bride. He's already done it. You have to see that wonderful exchange, that timurah, that substitute that we have here, because when the nearer kinsman, the gold redeemer, when he gives his sandal to Boaz, and then Boaz gives the money to Naomi, this exchange means that those who are dead in trespasses and sins, I'm talking about Elimelech and his two sons, and I'm talking about the dead husband of Ruth, that they can be redeemed. The name can go on. The heir can live on the property and keep the whole enterprise going. Why? Because of something that God has arranged. And you see, when you go out to a cemetery and you look at Elimelech's grave and you look at his two sons' graves, you see how hopeless it is. But when you see Boaz coming on the scene, he makes an exchange he makes a substitution. He makes a tamurah that is also the means of redemption, to redeem the property and redeem the name and redeem the whole thing that can go on now. But you see, Boaz did it with silver and gold. We find out that there's a lamb who comes to the house of the slave in Egypt, and he makes the redemption with blood. His blood on the doorposts sets the captive free. Now, we're only a couple of weeks from Pesach, and we need to remember what Isaiah said in chapter 53, verse 7, that the Moshiach will be like a lamb led to the slaughter, and that his death will be an offering that will justify many. We thought he was cursed of God, but he was wounded. That means blood for our transgressions. So you have to see Moshiach, the Seh HaElohim, who takes away the sins of the world. You have to see him making a purchase with his blood, so that these people who are dead in slavery and hopelessness and despair and bondage can go to the promised land, and there they can have a new life, a renovated, wonderful life with the land of milk and honey that God has provided, which is a picture of the Olam Haba. Now, friend, everybody